Hey guys, so I'm gonna do part two of this series of me trying to do 70 plus in comp. Right now, I'm still just on 70 flat. Uh, this update's gonna be about my next five attempts from the last update. So this is attempts 6 through 11. So I've now done over 10. I've got a lot of experience with it now. Um, Unfortunately, not a lot of progress over 55 out of 70, which is still my best one. Um, I've learned a lot with these five. I made some adjustments, which I'll get into later. And it's a lot of weird stuff I can talk about with these five. So I figured it's good to just do the update now, even though I didn't get anything and it didn't make any progress yet. Um, yeah, these five were interesting. They were spread out over two comps. Amherst, which had a best of three. Thanks, Levi, for adding the third one. It was originally supposed to be two. And then I flew to Texas the following week to do two more. So, yeah, with that. Also, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna make the video in the background after I record this. 'Cause I don't know what I'm gonna talk. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about when. So, unfortunately, though, I'm not probably not gonna show like an actual attempt because they all sucked. Spoiler alert. But I'll have clips of each attempt. The only one that I'll just talk about now first, I guess, was the first one. I deleted the video without thinking about doing this. So I realized after I did it. So um, now I'm going to save the footage. But yeah, I deleted it to clear some space. It was trash anyway. It was 42 out of 70. And what really went wrong with that one was my table. I had a table issue. I positioned my mat like on like the worst place possible, where there's like a lead. It was like a table with a lot of divisions, partitions, whatever you want to call them, and I positioned my mat in like the worst place, where right where I would put my first few packs was at an uneven like part where the table splits, and it was like the worst possible place I could put it because as soon as I dragged over a pack, I had four cubes leaning one direction and six leaning the other, and it was throwing me off. And it took me like forever to find a good place to adjust to put them where that wouldn't happen. It was like all the way over to the left on my mat. But when something like that happens that early on, the attempt's kind of trash. Like I couldn't calm down. Remaining calm and having an easy start is usually really important for me, and it's really hard for me to recover after that happens. So, uh, pretty much the whole attempt I knew was going to be a fight to just not DNF it because I really didn't want to start with a DNF. So, luckily, I did manage to get 42. I was tossing a lot of cues aside though. So, actually, if you look at my profile, it's my first sub 170 attempt. I got like 59.50, but to me, it doesn't really count for anything. Um, I threw aside so many and it was trash. So, but yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about for that one. Okay, so the next attempt two. Well, actually, funny thing, the next four attempts are all the same result, kind of. They're all 50 out of 70, all at the hour, except one of them I had a plus two. I can't remember which one, but which kind of ruins it. But it's funny if you look at my profile, there's just four straight 50 out of 70s. Which is even funnier because like I'm never consistent at this event, even when I do safer numbers. So to be maxing out in comp and getting the same result that like four times in a row is really it's a freak occurrence. So uh, funny, not really a good sign. It's just a thing that happened. But it is nice that they were all at least 50 because like I mentioned in the last video, like 50 sounds so much better than like 49. So um, it's funny that that happened. Anyway, so the next two attempts at Amherst and the first one, I did the same review system that I've been doing. So I'll go over that real quick, I guess. I might put it on the screen, who knows. But before I actually get into that, I'm changing up how I refer to different segments of an attempt, mainly because I'm tired of hearing myself say like long term and midterm and short term. It's just a fucking mouthful. I'm tired. Like every time I say it, I cringe. Like I've just said it like 30 to 40 times every time I make a multi video. So I'm changing it to this my short-term stuff is now going to be referenced as the front, meaning like, so like front 20. That's like, because it's in the front of my brain, I unload it first. That it just makes sense. And then the midterm stuff, it's just mid, makes sense, just like mid 20. And then my long-term stuff is my back 30, because it's like in the back of my head. I unload it last. So, you know, makes sense. Less of a mouthful. And yeah, so that's what that means from this point forward. So yeah, the first 50 out of 70, let's see. Oh, well, the review system. So it's my back 30, how I usually do it, 4 past that. And then I would do a mid 20 where I would 3 pass it. I would just do 2 passes of 10, 2 passes of 10, and then like not a full speed review of those 20, but a decent speed. It's going to sit for a bit. It's going to sit for a bit longer than the next 20, so I give it a little more time. And then for the next 2 10 packs for my front 20, I'll like do a quick spammy 3 pass of the first pack, and then same thing for the second, and then I'd solve them in order. And usually it's like just enough time where I'll remember, like if I solve them in order, the front pack will sit for like 4.5 minutes, and it's like just enough time to still remember everything. So I can also, with doing that, I can go a little safer. I mean, I can go a little less safe on the back 10 of on the last 10, just because they sit for less time. But yeah, so that's how I've been doing it. But this comp is where I started to realize I should probably change it up. And here's why. I think I've been struggling with the first pack of the front 20. Not as much though. That's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the mid 20. It's just sitting for slightly too long, and I'm starting to forget a bit. So that's definitely my weakest section of these first 250 out of 70s. And I didn't look too into detail about how many DNFs in each section entirely. I just looked at the back 30 accuracy and just did the math for the next 40. But just from my memory of the attempts, it was mostly in the mid 20. So they're just sitting a little too long. It's doable. Like they sit for a decent amount of time, but it's doable. It's the same thing I did for like the 68 attempt, and it worked fine. I actually had a perfect mid 20. So, but like, I don't know. The it's just I can't do it consistently. It was okay on the 55 out of 70, but other than that, every attempt has been trash, every single one. So it's just not consistent enough. And the fact that I know that is making me even more nervous every time I start memoing them, because I'm like, I really got to hit it. I really got to get it. But sometimes when you try too hard, also, it makes it even worse. So it's just a vicious cycle. I think I've just accepted that it's not worth it. I have to change it up. So I do that for the second comp, which I'll get into after these 2 attempts. But yeah, so the first 50 out of 70, the second attempt of Amherst, my back 30 accuracy was 20 out of 30 with 3 left at the hour. So it was like 20 out of 27. I don't know what I would have got on the last 3. I don't remember. But so that means I missed 10 in the doesn't sound that bad, but it definitely I remember it feeling worse than 10. It was probably a few in the short front 20. Like it's rare to get perfect sections on 70. So but yeah, I'm fairly confident. I didn't look, but I'm fairly confident a majority of them were in the mid 20. And so onto the second 50 out of 70, which was the same day as the first one. So this is the third attempt of Amherst. That same exact system, same thing, just tried it again. It was 23 out of 30 for the back 30. So I did better on the long stuff, but well, that means I did worse on probably the mid 20. So, and I do remember feeling frustrated in that section. I remember because it was the third attempt and the last one of that comp. I was like, shit, I blew my chances with 3 attempts to get something good. So yeah, and that's kind of why I came to the conclusion, like after that attempt on the drive home, that I have to change things up. So yeah, I guess one good thing about that one though is I made 2 more palaces in the last 6 months. and I used, um, and in these 5 attempts, I used them each once. So for the first time in comp, sorry, my cats are running around. So that second attempt, the third attempt of Amherst, I used my seventh palace for the first time. Yeah, I know that's crazy that I have 8 now, but 3 of them are trash, so I don't use them. Like my really old ones, I don't use them anymore for big attempts. So I really feel like I have 5, but so I used all those good 5 for these 5 attempts. But anyway, that was my first time using that seventh one. So, um, and it held up just as good as the other one. So, all right. So on to um, the DFW comp the following week. So this is where I made some adjustments. Um, Not just in the review system, actually. There's some other small ones that I'll get into too, but I'll go with the review system first. Back 30, obviously the same, but I also technically treated like the next 20 the same, where I do 2 past 10, 2 past 10, one big review, but I can go a little less safe on it because I'm going to return to them sooner. So I still do spend a decent amount of time reviewing it, but I can go a little less safe than before. And then now the biggest difference is for the next 20, instead of it being like a front 20, uh, I actually treat it the exact same way as the mid 20 with 2 past 10, 2 past 10, review in order. And then I execute 31 through 70 in order. So it's kind of like there isn't a front 20 and a mid 20 anymore. It's kind of just like a mid 40. It could also be considered a front 40, but I'm considering it a mid 40 because as soon as I add like 5, as soon as I add any cubes, like if I add like 2, those will be like the front 2, So I'm just, and then it'll be the mid 40. So I'm just calling it the mid 40 now. Um, and this solves the problem of the mid 20 sitting too long, 31 through 50. So because I return to them only in like 10 minutes now rather than like 16ish, because they would have to wait for the front 20 to be solved. And it makes a massive difference. Um, and honestly, the 51 through 70 feels just as strong as it did with like the front 20 way. So overall, a lot better. It might be a little slower. I think it is, but I have to look into that exactly why. But I think I have to eventually do this anyway once I move up into like the mid 70s, which I did go over, I think, in actually, I think I went over it in like the YouTube comments of my last update. So I'm just doing it now because Amherst was, it just made it clear to me that I should just be doing this in general. Also, because I'd say I've gotten worse at 70 since I've tried this other way, like the way I did for 68 that just randomly worked. Applying that to 70, since then I've been worse. So at my peak on average with 70, there was like a good like month period where I was averaging like 10 DNFs, and like I had like a handful of attempts with less than 10 DNFs, and that 60 pointer that I uploaded using this way. So I feel kind of stupid for not thinking of doing this sooner, but because it worked for my PR, I figured, why not keep trying? But yeah, after how this comp went, even though I did get the same results, they felt a lot better. So I'll get into them. Great conditions. There was no table issue, so both attempts were fine. In terms of like how I felt, and I was relaxed. And I did one prep like attempt at home between these 2 comps to test out the switch, and it didn't go great. It was kind of, honestly, I feel like it was like around 50 out of 70. I actually don't, I think it was like 49 or 48 out of 70, but I was using one of those trash older 3 palaces I was talking about. I never get anything good on them. So it was kind of just a trial run, and it felt better, like the problem area, which was the 31 through 50, it was a lot better, I remember. So I felt confident enough to try it for this comp. So um, with the back 30 here, my accuracy was 24 out of 30. Um, and this one was actually my closest so far to being like a legitimate sub one. I had two algs left on my last cube, and I'm certain I would have got it because the corners on the last cube I very rarely forget. I don't know why. I actually kind of make this mental note on my 30th cube I memo, like the last one of the back 30. When I'm memoing it for like the first or second time, I'm like, that's what I'm going to end the attempt on. And sometimes when it's like a really fancy case, like an LTCT or something that I know, I'm like, yeah, I get to end this attempt really fancy. So I don't know, but for weird thing. But yeah, so I remember I would have known it. I was literally in the process of doing the second last alg and thinking about the last one. So this was essentially a 25 out of 30, like 5 DNFs in a long term. So I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. The best of this stretch. Possibly the best so far out of my 70 grind. I could have had, there were definitely some, like, I don't remember how many I missed in the 55 out of 70. It might be around the same, or maybe slightly more. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure this is definitely one of the best ones and the best one of this stretch. So I was happy to see that. But that means I had a worse mid 40. so so I missed 15, and I didn't go into what palace was it. I probably should have looked more into detail, but I really just wanted to get this up. They're all crap attempts, and I just wanted to talk about the changes. But let me think. I was using. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I was nervous for the section. I missed 15 in the mid 40. So just funny. I don't remember feeling that bummed about the mid 40. I thought it was like a pretty decent. So maybe the long term was, maybe the back 30 was just better than I thought it was, and the front 40 was worse than I thought it was. So interesting for sure. And the final attempt. Now this one was really frustrating for me because like it seems like I'm missing like at worst like 10 out of the back 30. Usually it's around like 5 or 6, or well, not usually around 5 or 6. It's like on attempt 3 I missed 7. On this attempt I missed technically I missed 6 here. I'm referring to it as 5 because it was like pretty much I missed 5, but it's usually less than 10. But I remember getting really pissed off at this one. But now looking back on it, it's a good sign. I completely bombed the back 30 on this. And I remember being really pissed off because I shouldn't have. I don't know what it was. I solved 16 out of 30. Terrible. I had 6 left at the hour. I just couldn't remember shit in the last 2 10 packs. And what's even sadder is my first pack of the back 30 was 9 out of 10. Like something just happened in the second one. And then like, it's like I forgot one thing and then it like just spiraled into forgetting more, which tends to happen. And then it almost looks like I like pick up a few again and then it just happened again. So now that sucked. But the good thing about this is that means I only missed 4 in the mid 40. Right? No, 6. Sorry. Yeah, so because that means I missed 14. Yeah, so I missed 6 in the mid 40. So a lot better than the first try at the new system. And I remember it feeling pretty good. Like not actually, that's probably better than I thought it felt. And that is probably the most accurate, or at least close to the most accurate for 31 through 70 so far. So that to me reassures me that that works. Because like the back 30, I can hit it at any point. Like I, I'm not changing it. It's fine. Yeah, it sucked, but like it happens. But more often than not, it's not the worst part of the attempt. Um, the the 31 through 70 has been the problem, and only missing six. That's a lot. That's a lot of progress, honestly. It might be comparable to the 55 out of 70, but this is with the new way, and it felt a lot better, honestly. So, um, and so also the fourth attempt was with my other new Palace 8. So, I mean, that could have had something to do with the blowout at the end. Don't think so. I think it was just, I don't know. I don't know what caused it. Sucks. But, because it's like, the trouble area was finally okay ish. And then the part that's been okay ish was the trouble area. So, but, this is one of those things you have to look at multi to like help you stay sane. It's kind of like lying to yourself, honestly. So, like, there's really no progress here. I solved 50 out of 70. I missed 20 on all four of these like decent attempts. Well, not decent. I missed 28 on the first one, and then I missed 20 four times in a row. But if you look at and this is just from the Texas comp. Like I said, the long term, I essentially missed five. Um, if you pair that with the mid 40 from the second one, that's missing 11. It's technically missing 12, but I'm calling it. I missed. Fuck those last two out. 'Cause I pretty much was done. It's kind of like I got a 59 out of 70 if you combine those two areas. And if those can hit, and the more I do this, the more often I'll be able to pull off those numbers. And that can hit at any point. And that's just one cube away from being a 50 pointer, 59 out of 70. So that's the shit you have to look at. That's how you survive with this event. Um, if you have to look for good shit like that. You have to lie to yourself as much as possible to make yourself like feel good about yourself. And like it might always look like me making excuses, and like even when I make excuses, it's lying to myself to like reassure myself it's not all me. It's like it kind of helps you lying to yourself and making excuses for yourself, because like that is a fact. I can pull that off at any point. They just have to happen together. So, and that'll happen over time. And that's essentially a 60 out of 70, which is a 50 pointer. And then what's left after that? Five more cubes to get 60 points. It's that simple. That's the mental gymnastics you have to do to not quit. So, oh yeah. So one other thing I forgot to mention, adjustment wise, is, and these are really small, but I realized that they can actually add up significantly. My chair shifts, I've been doing six. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but if you've watched me do multi, you know that on my back 30, I take my first two 10 packs and they're like one's in front of the other, and that's fine. I'm fine with reaching over one pack to look at the second one, but for some reason I've always really hated reaching way too far to get to the third one. So what I've been doing for years now is shifting over and doing my third one like to the right of the first two. And whenever I'd come back to review the first two, I'd shift my chair back. And then when I'd go to review the third 10 pack, I'd shift my chair back again. And then on the final review, I come back and I do put it in the back. But yeah, with that and then shifting over again to do the rest of the attempt, I've been doing six chair shifts. And when you have a chair at home with wheels, it's like you don't think about it. But in comp, it's been causing me problems. Sometimes I really don't want to make too much noise, depending on the chair and the floor. And sometimes I don't want to fall over if the rug is too like hard to move the chair on. So there are sometimes it probably adds up to like 20 seconds, sometimes even 30 if I'm having trouble. So I decided to finally do that, fix that problem. So, and I did this at Texas for the first time. I now, after reviewing the first two 10 packs, I push them both forward. Like I kind of combine them and push them forward. Take the third one, put it right in front of me. So, and then when I'm done looking at the third one, I want to go back to the other two, push it to the right, pull those two towards me, separate them, and then review. So it's just moving cubes around now instead of my chair. So it's probably saving me a decent amount of time, probably like half a cube, honestly. So that's nice. And then my only chair shifts are now when I go over to look at the rest of the attempt, the mid 40, and then my chair shift back during exec to solve the back 30. So that's good. And another one, which I think I brought up in the last attempt, not the last attempt, the last update is, well, I still do that stupid thing where I look at cube 31. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure it was 51 for that, but now that the system's changed, the first cube I exec is 31. I do give it a glance before I exec, I still do, but that'll go away. Like I'll be forced to stop doing that once I add more cubes, like some actual like front cubes. But the arrangement of the 40 cubes now. So once I finally shift my chair over and I have 40 cubes, I just stare at them and well, even if I take two 10 packs from the big pack still, how it's usually arranged, it's kind of like the 70 square of like almost a 9 by 8, but with like the big 30 taken out of like the left side. I can get two 10 packs out of that pretty easily for the next 20, but then the next 20 after that, they're all in like really weird areas and it takes like forever to put them together. It took me like 20 seconds to arrange the last 20 cubes on my, like, up until this point, it's probably taken me like 20 seconds, maybe 15 if I'm lucky, to arrange them. So I came up with like this exact way of like, if I have my square with 30 missing, I have like this little algorithm now where I take six, like a block of six, move it here, shift them over, and then I only have a few more for like the last 10 pack, and it only takes me like 5 seconds now. So I did that stupid shit. So altogether, I'm probably saving over 30 seconds from just that bullshit alone. It's actually crazy. That's like probably half a cube, but yeah. So funny little thing I forgot to mention.